So the quote is this: it says, sometimes to go deep, you first must go big. And so the reality of doing 3 hours of deep work, first you must go really fucking big. Push yourself. Don't just do these 25-minute Pomodoro techniques. Try and get yourself to do 3 hours of deep work, because once you can go big, then you can start going deep. We're going into those deep amounts of focus and getting so much done that you can't even believe it. Because if it was easy to do 3 hours of deep work every single day, everyone would be doing it, but it's not. It's hard with so many distractions nowadays. These billion-dollar social media companies wanting to get all your attention just so they can make money off you. It's hard to get rid of these distractions. I used to spend 3 hours a day on my phone looking at a piece of glass and metal. 3 hours a day over 10 years, that's one whole year of my life just looking at my phone. Imagine the results I was getting from my life by doing that. Nothing. My life was miserable. And then once I got rid of that distraction and I was able to sit down and do focused deep work, I learned the most valuable skill in today's day and age, because everyone's attention span is ruined. So there's a low supply of people that can sit down and do work, but it's always needed, so it's in demand. So a skill that's in low supply but high demand is extremely valuable. If you want my help to learn the most valuable skills, scroll down to the description and click the first link right now. Now we're going to go over the reality behind doing 3 hours of deep work every single day. Now I've built this up to a habit where I'm consistently being able to do 3 hours of deep work, even more sometimes up to 12 hours of deep work a day. So there are 4 main challenges that you're going to go through that I've figured out that we're going to go through in today's video and try and solve. So the challenge of being able to sustain your focus for long periods of time. Then we're going to go over the importance of having a routine, and routines make doing deep work easy. And the role of breaks, we've got to treat ourselves like an athlete. So an athlete, when they go game time, so an athlete, when they have a game, they might go for 90 minutes, but they have a halftime break. We've got to treat ourselves like athletes. And then we're going to go over the last thing, which is the myth of constant productivity, of being on all the time. You don't have to be on all the time. We can have times to break, relax, reset. Now, the first thing we're going to go through is the challenge of sustained focus. Deep focus is going to strain our mental energy and our mental capacity, because it requires us to stay in a focused state for long periods of time. They did research on chess players, and a chess player in 6 hours burns 6,000 calories. To put that in perspective, the average person spends 2,000 calories their whole day. So in a 6-hour period, a chess player uses 3 times more calories than a normal person during their day. That's because they're mentally using so much energy. So being able to stay focused for long periods of time requires so much energy from our body, and so it's hard to do because it's hard to sustain. And so the initial struggle will be building yourself up to be able to actually have the energy to stay focused for 3 hours. It isn't easy, but it requires practice, and it's a skill you can learn. I used to just be able to sit on my phone all day for 3 hours, but I couldn't sit down and work for 3 hours a day. But it required me to start small, 5 minutes and 10 minutes and half an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Just like when you go to the gym, the first thing you do is you don't pick up the 100 kilos and start lifting it. You start small. You start with 10 kilos and gradually build yourself up to where your minimum standard is eventually 100 kilos. That's what we want to be able to do. Make up minimum standard 3 hours of deep work every single day, a reality. So in order to do that, you got to start small and gradually increase the amount of time you're actually able to do deep work. And this is called progressive overload, where you're progressively overloading the amount of deep work you can do every single day. So don't expect to get into 3 hours of deep work straight away the first day you do it. We're going to progressively get there. The second thing that you'll go through, especially when doing deep work, is having a structure and a routine. So there are 10,000 decisions that you're probably going to go through every single day. And what we have to do is eliminate as many distractions or as many decisions as we can, so we can just focus on the main important tasks. Like if you're constantly thinking about what you have to wear, what you have to eat, where you're going to go for work, what time to work, how to work, what you do when you're doing work. You've got so many decisions you can make. If you can eliminate all of them and have just a consistent routine that you go in and you do every single day, it eliminates so many decisions and give you so much more energy to focus on doing the actual deep work. So what can we do to create a consistent routine? Well, having a dedicated workspace. If you have a place that you go to actually do your work, it makes it so much easier. And you know that when I go here, I do my work. So it eliminates so many decisions, and you've just got one decision, which is turn up to your workspace and do the work. And make sure it's a clean workspace. Because if you think about it, a monk is the most focused person there is. And what do? They sit down and focus in a clean room with just a mat, and they sit there and they focus. Same thing for when we're doing work. We want to be focused. So what do we have to do? We have to eliminate every single distraction there is and make sure there is only one thing, which is the work at hand. Because when you start seeing distractions, it signals to your brain to distract itself and to do that other thing that's, being distracted by. Focus on that. So your solution is create a regular schedule. You turn up to your workspace at this time every single day, and that consistency makes it so much easier to stick with. And make sure you've got no distractions in your environment. The third thing is having breaks. We've got to treat ourselves like an athlete. An athlete, when they go and do a game, they have a half-time break. When we're doing deep work, we've got to treat ourselves like an athlete. So we have a half-time break where we have just, 5-10 minutes just to relax, get our energy back. And then we can go into the second half with more energy and go into that flow state again. So what I call having half-time breaks during a deep session is crucial to make sure you're able to sustain the level of energy and output throughout the whole session. And so what you can start doing is what I call either the 5-10 rule or the 90-15 rule. So if you're going to work for 15 minutes, have a 15-minute bout of deep work, 10-minute break, and then another 50 minutes. If you're going to work for 90 minutes, have a 90-minute bout of deep work, 15-minute break, and then another 90 minutes. And this is just going to allow you to get your energy back during that break. And when you're in a break, the most important thing you got to do is not look at your phone. Don't get distracted by it. Go have some water. Go look outside, go for a walk for a bit, do something to just relax where you're not focused. Because what you're going to do when you go on your phone, you're going to get distracted and you're going to focus on your phone. We don't want to be focusing. We want to be calm and relaxed. So have half-time breaks, because the reality is it's hard to focus for 3 hours straight. But if you have a break in between, you can sustain that level of focus over a long period of time. And the last thing is that the reality of doing 3 hours of deep work a day is you can't be productive all the time. You've got to have time to relax, let your body just to get your energy back, because not every session is going to be perfect. Some days will be more productive than others. You're going to get, a whole month's worth of work in a day done some days, and some days you're just not going to even turn up and do anything. But the reality is turn up every single day. That's the most important thing. And not every session is going to be perfect, and you've got to accept that some days you got more energy, some days you haven't. Some days are good, some days are bad. That's the reality of life. Is just got to accept that you can't be productive constantly, but you can turn up. Even if you're not doing 3 hours a day every single day, try and do something. That's the most important thing. So track your progress. I have a deep work tracker that I use, and I start to see, this time of day is the most, when I wake up and I've got the most energy to do deep work. So I'm going to consistently, based off the patterns that I've seen within myself, I'm going to turn up at this time and do deep work. So start tracking your progress and celebrate small wins as well. Not every day is going to be productive, but at least you turned up and you did the work. So celebrate those small wins. Now you're probably thinking, well, I can't focus for 3 hours straight. Well, the reality is you probably sat down and watched a movie for 3 hours. And so you can sit down and focus for 3 hours. And the reality is that, we can't always maintain perfect focus for 3 hours, but you can sit down and do work for 3 hours and have a half-time break. That'll allow you to be able to do that 3 hours of deep work, because your energy levels are going to go up and down. But if you have that half-time break, you're allowing yourself to recuperate, get that energy back so you can go back and do some more focused work. And if you're probably thinking as well, I'm not productive every session, you're failing. Well, productivity fluctuates. We've got higher days with energy, we've got lower days with energy, and consistency over periods of time is what leads to success, not perfection every session. If you get 1% better every single day, within a year, you're 37 times better. So the goal for us is just to stay consistent, turn up every single day and do what we can. You don't have to do 3 hours every single day, because it's hard, especially when you're just starting out. It's a skill that you got to learn, but eventually you'll get there. And it's about just being consistent and turning up. So your action plan for this video is to gradually build yourself up, starting with shorter sessions, maybe an hour, 50-minute rule that I talked about, where you do 50 minutes of work and 10-minute breaks. Start with that and gradually build yourself up to where you can do 3 hours of work. But the key is turning up every single day. Then create a set routine for yourself where you, at a specific time every single day, you turn up, and you turn up to this specific workplace with a specific schedule that you're going to be doing. And so this consistency will create the results where you're consistently doing the same thing every day. It sounds boring, but that's the boring creates the results. And then incorporate half-time breaks. So use the 50-10 or the 90-15 rule to have breaks. So you do 50 minutes of work, 10-minute breaks, 90 minutes of work, 15-minute break, and then go back and do your last bout of work. So try and incorporate half-time breaks in your sessions and track your progress. Keep a journal. I have a Google Sheet tracker where I write out how much deep work I did. Did I do exercise? Did I eat healthy? What time I went to bed? What time I woke up? Other variables I also track as well, so I can start to see correlations between what activities I do and then how that correlates with my deep work output. So track your progress and you can start to see what works for you and what doesn't. You become a scientist and athlete at the same time. We're experimenting on what works and then you're actually optimizing your performance. So if you want your help implementing this to make sure deep work's a daily habit, you want to overcome the struggles and you want to be able to make reality of doing 3 hours of deep work a daily habit, you can scroll down to the description and click the link right now where you get my help one-on-one, and I'll help you make 3 hours of deep work a daily habit.